Welcome to Inspire Campfire, a podcast where ordinary people tell their stories of extraordinary adventure. These are campfire stories meant to inspire the rest of us to light the fire within, get outside, follow our dreams, and return to tell our own stories. Ready? Let's strike the match.
Welcome to the show. I am your host, Scott Wurzbacher. April is Earth Month, and we are releasing this episode just ahead of Earth Day, which is April 22nd this year. Adventure often happens outdoors, so I thought it would be important to both celebrate the Earth and dedicate an episode to how we can all participate in protecting and preserving our planet. Our guest today is Karen Auld from Lebanon, New Jersey. Karen is an environmentalist, author, speaker, and mindset coach, and she is seriously passionate about protecting the environment. Her unique approach cuts through politics and unites rather than divides. Karen has a degree in environmental science from Rutgers University and has held various positions in environmental consulting, safety, and sustainability, including her current role at Johnson & Johnson. She also happens to be one of the most creatively fun human beings that I know. Karen and I immediately connected through our mutual love of Star Wars culture during a mastermind group hosted by Robert Holden, who you might remember from episode 54. Together, Robert and Karen recently gave an exclusive talk at Oregon State University about happiness and environmental activism. And she's here with us to share her plan for how we can save the planet. It's a big mission, and I know Karen's up for it. Karen, welcome to the campfire.
Oh, thank you, Scott. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, man, we're going to have a fun conversation today. We always do. And so I think we should probably just start with Earth Day itself. Because everybody's heard of Earth Day and we all want to celebrate our planet. But can you tell us a little bit about what Earth Day is and how it got started?
Sure. So, Earth Day started in 1970. It was basically a group of hippies that were
Nice.
like, "Hey, like we talk about celebrating the Earth. We talk about that we need to save the planet." And that's really what the flower power movement was all about. So they said, we need to do something. We need to have a celebration. And that's really what it all started as was, as just an opportunity to be outside and to celebrate the earth.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. So what's the evolution of Earth Day been since that time?
I hate to say it, but it's become a little political. I mean, just the environmental movement in itself is just a very political, it's a political football. That's really what it is. And it's a shame. But there are still groups out there that, the importance of Earth Day is to do that celebrating. And, that's one of my missions is to remind people that let's get our head out of the political divide and, let's talk about what we love about the earth.
Yeah, and this is why I love talking with you about it. I know you're passionate about it, but it's really truly just about the environment. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really just about the earth for you, and I appreciate that so much. I always enjoy talking with you about it. Karen, we're going to get into some of that stuff that you started to allude to, but before we do, where did your love for the environment come from?
It came from the womb. I mean, really, I just remember being very little and, like, having a favorite tree. I loved watching the ants, like, anytime the ants made an ant hill, and it was like, you ever watch the ants and it's a tiny, tiny little ball of soil, I just thought that was fascinating, and I would watch them, and I'd say, like, "Where are these ants going?" And other kids were, playing with Barbies or whatever, but I wanted to be outside. I knew every critter that was in our yard. I knew all of the neighborhood dogs. Like I grew up in the 70s and like at that point, a lot of people were still their dogs were outside dogs. Like
Yeah,
people they had pens.
yeah.
And I had one family that I was always checking on their dog that they finally started paying me because I was, making sure the dog had water, making sure, the pen was clean, things like that. So yeah, I mean, it just really from the time I can remember, I've just always loved things in the natural world.
I mean, it sounds like backyard adventure to me.
Oh, totally. Yeah, always, always.
So how for you did that love of just being outside and animals and nature, how did that turn into the drive towards environmental science and protecting the environment?
When it came to, like, picking a major, going to college, okay, what do I want for a career? I really wanted to be a photographer. I wanted to be, you know, work for National Geographic, like, I just thought, "Okay, that's what I wanna do." And my parents and my guidance counselor were like, "You're never gonna make any money doing that." So, I said, "Okay, so now what?" So my other hero in the, natural world was Jacques Cousteau.
Nice.
So I said, "Oh, maybe I'll major in oceanography." I was really good in science, so I that's what I went when I picked a school for oceanography, but when I went to there, started studying oceanography, so much math,
Mm.
and I'm not a math girl, and I like biology better, so I was like, "Well, what else could I do?" I was kind of freaking out, being a freshman and not knowing, and then I saw earth science. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can study the whole earth and how does the oceans, work with the whole thing? So that moved me into studying environmental science. And I really have been working in the field since I graduated.
Yeah, okay. So next step beyond that is this protecting of the environment because you
Mhm.
have a passion for it.
Yeah, yeah. I went right from working in, right from college to working in corporate America. And I made that decision to work in corporate America, I'd say pretty strategically. I wanted to understand if these were the bad guys from what all the environmental people were saying,
Mm.
well, what could I do? How could I infiltrate the bad guys and see what they were doing? And, what I realized is, corporations are made of people, and there are people that, really do want to do good things for the environment. And, sometimes, we're here to, corporations aren't going anywhere, so but I knew people had the right heart, and I wanted to see how I could help those people. And, that's really why, I started working, I still work in corporations because I know that there is a level of protection that we can do at that, in that arena. So, I mean, protecting the environment, I think we all can do it. I call myself an environmentalist, but I think everyone can call themselves an environmentalist.
Yeah, I love that. And so I want to clarify because you started by talking about the bad guy, right? And so I think when we talk about the bad guy, you're referring to corporations as being the bad guy, meaning the one of the key contributors to the environmental problem. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in school, like you either, you either were an environmentalist, you cared so much about the environment, or you went to work for corporate America. And I said, like, I don't there's not that doesn't mean I don't love the environment as much as someone who decided to be a park ranger.
Yeah.
And I wanted, like, that was very important to me, but, like, that's what happened, like, in my education, even in the environmental movement, the corporations were the bad guys. And that's, and that stigma has just gone over and over and over. And again, like, that stigma's not it hasn't worked, right? Calling somebody out as a bad guy and shaming people is not working in the environmental movement. And that's really what my mission is all about now, is just to change that narrative and how we talk about protecting and loving the environment.
You just talked about shaming, and so I think I heard environmental shaming. I'm not sure if those words came out of your mouth, but
Yeah.
But let's talk about this. What is this environmental shaming?
I think that a lot of people who get into any type of activism, they're coming from a place of, you know, they want change, and they feel the passion so much. They want change so much that, it's coming from a place of when you look at inside your body, it's coming from a place of adrenaline, right? So it's like, so when you're angry, when there's fear, you just get into that shame game. You just start saying like, you need to change, you need this, you need that, and they're shitting on people a lot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that, I mean, here I am, an environmentalist. People know me, they know my passion. And I went to a conference once. I forgot my water bottle. And no, you know what? It wasn't even, that's right. It wasn't even that. It was my first time I flew after 9/11, and they threw my water bottle away. Like it was like TSA was so crazy back
Yeah.
then. Like there was
Yep.
no place to pour your water out. They threw my water bottle away. I get to the conference. I need something to drink. I have a, single-use plastic bottle. Here are my colleagues who know me, know where my heart is, and I got shamed so bad
Mm.
at that conference. And there people are telling me the statistics and all this kind of stuff, and I just couldn't believe it. And that was a very pivotal moment for me, that like, holy cow, if they're doing this to me, then they're doing this to other people, and it's not going to work.
Yeah. So can you expound on that a little bit more? I mean, and like how that felt for you and what you think is going on. Like you're there at an environmental conference,
Yeah,
right? To
right.
talk about this very thing.
Right.
Your heart is in the right place. So what about those people that are just kind of going about their daily lives, maybe not thinking about it as much as you are?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a perfectionism that people, again, like any type, it doesn't matter if you're an activist for the environment, for, you know, civil rights, whatever it is. I think there's the people that are coming from a place of anger and fear. You go to that energy and you project that energy onto others. And that's what was happening to me at that conference. And I realized, I had done a lot of inner work. I had done
Mhm.
a lot of, work around happiness and success. Like, what does this mean internally for me? So when I was being shamed, it didn't, I didn't take it personally. It stung. It definitely stung, but it made me realize, okay, we have to come from a place of wanting to, you know, to to love and to make a change that is sustainable. I call myself an imperfect advocate.
I
You know,
love that. An
I'm not,
imperfect advocate.
yeah, I mean, I have paper towels in my house. I know that, paper towels aren't that great, but I try to buy the the paper towels that are made with recycled content, or I'll buy the expensive bamboo ones every once in a while. But I'm not getting rid of paper towels in my house because, I have cats and they make messes, and I'm not using a reusable cloth and washing that. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's the perfectionism. Like, we can't. We know if you do the math, you do the statistics. We know that we need to make some big changes, for our planet. But big changes come with little ones, and it's okay just to make those little changes and not have to be that perfectionist.
Mm. I love this. So you gave a talk recently at Oregon State University on this topic with Robert
Yeah.
Holden. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you guys were there to speak about?
Yeah, it was really cool. So what we did was, so I did a study. Robert had something that he called the happiness index. This was something that he made for the Oprah Winfrey show, in fact. So the happiness index, it was about 10 questions, had a 1 through 5 rating of not true to very true. So it was questions like, I make time for self-care. I sleep regularly, things like that. So what I decided was, well, I was curious. I think a lot of these things come, from just being open to curiosity,
Yeah.
right? And so I was curious, well, what if I peppered in some questions about environmental action? And would people that said, very true to true, like, so I had questions on, if, like, this is one of them was, if I see a plastic bottle when I'm on a hike, I would pick it up and recycle it when I got home. And what I did was I looked at the people that scored that question true and very true. And I looked at what is their happiness index. So for that question, it was, in fact, I gotta get my notes out here. So I want to give you the numbers. So 82% scored that set of 4. So it was very true. I mean, no, I'm sorry, just true.
Okay.
82% either had a healthy or very healthy score on the happiness index. 97% had a healthy to very healthy score that said very true, that they would pick up that bottle and recycle it. And then the other thing I did was I took the data, and so that was my quantitative
Yeah.
part of this
I'm loving
study.
this. Yeah.
So then I did a qualitative. So the qualitative is all about, like, interviewing, and you're having more of a discussion with people. So I took people who filled out the survey and I asked, "Hey, if you own an electric car or you own a hybrid car, I want to have an interview with you."
Okay.
So the people that said yes, we talked to them, and I asked them, "Why did you buy that electric car or hybrid car?" I asked them if did they do it because they love the technology, they love to save money, or did they love the environment? 100% of the people that said that they loved the planet, that's why they bought their car, their EV or hybrid car, 100% had a healthy or very healthy score on the happiness index.
Nice.
So what this data showed me was like, okay, so happy people, these are the people that are doing the work. These are people that are going to save the planet. But when I started thinking about it, I started thinking about all the people that I've worked with. And I also looked at when environmental regulations, came to be. And like I mentioned before, Earth Day happened in 1970, right?
Yep.
What was happening before Earth Day? The whole hippie movement, flower power, you know, make love, not war,
Yeah.
all those good things, right? All the environmental regulations that are the big ones in this country, the EPA was founded in 1970. The Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, all these things. And the hippie movement was not saying, shame on you. They were bringing some hard things to the table. They weren't saying that, hey, they were saying, look, we have some problems. And like even Jacques Cousteau, who I mentioned before, Jacques Cousteau, he was working for oil and gas. He was not like this naturalist who just made, these beautiful specials on PBS. He was working for oil and gas. He saw what was happening to the ocean. And he said, I got to do something about this. So he figured out, he was an inventor. And he figured out, okay, how do I bring cameras down to the ocean and show people how beautiful it is down here? Because he said, and this quote like still sticks with me. I think I think about it every day. He said, you protect what you love.
Mm. Yeah.
So people like so the people that to me were making big moves in the environmental movement were not coming from that place of shaming. They were coming from that place of love. They were showing people, this is, we need to do this because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
loving this so much, and, I'm thinking right now, I mean, so first of all, you said hippies had it right.
Yeah.
There was no shaming in the way that hippies brought this all about, and I just imagine, like, these people dancing around saying, "Free love, man," it's all about love, right? But there's truth to what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy people love the planet, and
Yeah.
people that love that planet are happy.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's super interesting. Uh, Back in September, I went with a group to the Kingdom of Bhutan, and we visited the Gross National Happiness Center there.
Mhm.
Where similar kind of stuff where there we're studying happiness. Bhutan is extremely ecologically and environmentally friendly. They're the only carbon neutral, actually carbon negative country in the world. And there's a huge piece to that ties back to the happiness of the people there. So,
Sure.
there's something to this for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I mean, I really feel that, when just think about when you've had a conversation with someone and you tried to shame them into change. If someone's like not eating well and you say, like, oh, like that's disgusting. What are you doing? Nah, nah, nah. You know, that's not going to help them make that change.
Yeah.
And that's what really what we've been doing in the environmental movement is so much of this shame game. And I'm really, just to be honest, I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. And it's just, when I have conversations that are coming from a place of this is the right thing to do. I'm doing this because it feels good. That's when we get things done. That's when change happens. Even within the corporation. I call these people my sustainable souls because they're coming from that place of let's do the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is the path? What is the path forward? You do. I alluded in the intro, like you have this approach that cuts through the politics and it unites rather than divides. Like talk to us about that path forward.
I just really want the conversations that people are having, even if it's, between, just talking to your neighbor or talking about, you know, it's just coming from a place of love. And really what I talk about is that love is a renewable energy. It's the renewable energy, and we don't talk enough about it. We don't talk about, how really love can save this planet. When you think about like what is a renewable energy, right? It's a source that cannot be depleted. And you can always generate love.
Mm,
So when you're, like for example, like I have a compost, a compost bin
yep.
that my husband made for me. It was probably the best present I ever got. And it's made out of, old pallets. I love it. And I don't tell people like, "Oh, everyone should have a compost, pile like I do." I show them, "Look how cool this thing is. You could have this in your backyard for free. You need how many? 1, 2, 3. You need 4 pallets, and boom, you're done." Like you try it. And I think like, I want to talk from a place of love and enthusiasm that gets people to say, okay, I could try that.
Yeah, it's fun when you can buy them too. We have one in our yard,
Yeah.
and it's always fun to go out there and take the banana peels and the eggshells and all that, and open it up and see what's growing in there. There's all kinds of fun critters and stuff working their magic in there. But
Yeah.
yeah, and it does and I can see it in you. It just sparks your curiosity.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I love like I do a lot of talks on green products because I just love there's so many good solutions out there. It just, we need to talk about it. We need to share, so I just said, green products that I love and, encourage other people to try them as well.
Yeah. So Karen, I want to talk about specifically love as a solution to the environment? And
Yeah.
and practically speaking, like what does that mean?
Yeah. So for me, I truly believe and from, from our study, when we're coming from when we've done our inner work, we there's a lot of like Buddhists talk about this. A lot of different practices talk about how when you do the inner work to get the outer results,
Mhm.
right? And I truly believe that that can go all the way out to the environment. Confucius talked about something he called the concentric circles. And Confucius was really big into like how do you create a the ultimate society is really what he was trying to figure out as a philosopher. But what he talked about with these concentric circles is that you start in the middle, it's you, and you have to be like basically clean yourself up first. So you clean your thoughts, you do the inner work. And then you go out and and how does that influence your family? How does that influence then your community? And then you start, building out these concentric circles. And I truly believe that, that can affect the whole planet. And I always, with so many things with the environment too, is it's we make decisions that maybe aren't pro-environmental when we're busy. Fast food, plastic water bottles, you make those quick decisions, and that throwaway economy that we have, it's there.
Yeah, and I wanna chime in on this a little bit because I think you and I had a conversation about this, but I walk my daughter to school every morning, and recently we've got the dog with us, so we have our little baggies, and we're putting his stuff in the little baggies, but sometimes we make space. If I see a water bottle or something, I'll pick it up. And I just kind of had this realization, and probably stating the obvious, but I noticed that whenever I'm picking up trash, it's more often than not junk food
Yeah,
or beer cans or cigarette butts or these things that are bad for us, that we all like collectively know and understand to be bad for us. Like, you don't usually see like health food. Like, you're not typically picking up like an empty bag of carrots that's been littered, right? Like,
right.
things that are good for us, people don't typically litter with that kind of stuff, right? And
Yeah,
I just wonder if there's a connection there, because I heard you say like clean yourself up first,
yeah.
and then and then the concentric circles grow from there. But I'm just curious, like your thoughts on that, and what do you think's going on there?
I mean, it's a lot of our culture, I think, has a lot to do with it. So if you're, fast food it's part of the throwaway culture. So what do you do with this? Okay, I just threw away nutrition for the day, by eating this stuff. So what do I do with all this, the wrappers and things? Okay, you just throw it away. You just throw it wherever who cares? And I think when if you're making some decisions, smoking's a good one, I don't care, yeah, I know it's not good for me. I don't care. So even if like that subconscious to me, that subconscious programming is going on in you. So you don't care. So if you don't care about yourself, you're not going to care about the planet. You're just going to throw that cigarette butt.
So I love that you're talking about it being subconscious, because I agree. I give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
But I don't think that people are necessarily like throwing their cigarette butt in the street and consciously saying like, I'm going to litter today because I just want
Right.
to do that. Like, they are doing it subconsciously.
Yeah.
But it does reflect like a lack of caring about themselves.
Yeah.
And I guess, I think sometimes we feel like we're preaching to the choir, because those people that are eating healthy foods and doing healthy things for themselves are not taking the wrappers from that stuff and throwing it out into the street, right? And so I think the question really
Yeah.
is like, those people that are taking good care of themselves, that are practicing like healthy eating and just, self-love and self-care, right? How do we then impact a greater group? Like, how do we get to those people that are doing things that aren't healthy for them and then contributing to, the unhealthiness of the environment?
I they talk a lot about, show don't tell, right? You're telling a story, if you're facilitating, if within, when we're doing presentations in corporate, we're training people, right? You want to show them, you don't want to just tell them. So anytime you can bring somebody on a journey with you, you know, that's an opportunity. You're doing a journey, to the Grand Canyon. When it's Earth Day, you're going to be in the Grand Canyon at the bottom. I mean, how amazing is that? So you're bringing people on this journey, and that's really the way people, and that's how we learn. We learn through experience, we learn through stories. So that's how we can do this in a very non-preachy way.
Yeah, and I guess what I'm hearing you say is, we talked about like shaming doesn't work. So telling people it's not gonna help, but role modeling, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Letting people see you pick up trash, letting people see you practice environmentally conscious behaviors and showing them that it's okay, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at social media, right? Like the influencers on social media. Why if Kim Kardashian says go buy something, millions of young girls go out and buy it. So we need to do that, you know, at that level. You can be anyone could be an influencer for the environment, especially when you connect to what you love. Because when you like if I took you outside and we found some ants and me and you sat down and we looked at some ants together, I know I would get you excited about ants.
I know you would.
But and that's the energy that I believe is going to make change. And that's going to make, people want to, figure out, well, what do I love about the environment? What do I love, that I want to share with someone? Because like, well, who doesn't want to share what they love? And we can do that for the environment. If you find you find something that's a green product that you love, say, I got this coolest thing that I found. Like I do that to people all the time. Look at this cool thing I found. And share that with people. But even just sharing, I just truly believe just coming from a place of love, just putting any type of love. It could be poetry, it could be, a song, it could be a podcast. This is this type of stuff that's helping, it's going to help the planet.
I think so. I love this so much. And, I think that the thing about this podcast is we're trying to encourage people to listen to the voice inside that calls them to adventure and to help people get outside and go
Yeah.
do the things that they really want to do. And I would say that the more time you spend outside, the more like you're naturally going to just become an environmentalist, because the more that you are spending time outside, the more you develop that appreciation and the gratitude, and you see the impacts and the effects that it has on our ability to adventure,
Yeah.
when the environment gets damaged.
Yeah.
And so, Karen, with that, I want to know, like, what does adventure look like for you these days?
Well, adventure for me has been all about speaking, and getting this message out into the world. It's about, me finding different avenues even to talk about this. So I so appreciate having this adventure with being on a podcast. But yeah, I mean, I love, probably one of my favorite things is, I have my passport for the national parks. So I'm always trying to get all my stamps in my passport. So that's always an adventure for me, as well.
Yeah. So, and I've been to your home, and I know that you live, you've got a big, expansive piece of property with a lot of nature, and you get to live that on a daily basis, really.
Yeah, yeah, we have at least, I'd say, 15 deer that come through the yard every day. We have raccoons and possums, and we haven't had a lot of wild turkey, but we've had some in the past. We used to have a pheasant that my mom used to feed, and she would shake the can with some bird seed, and the pheasant would come running down the hill. It was so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I try to every day. What I realized that was, sometimes when I go outside to get someplace, so I'm going from my house to my
Yeah.
car to work to the store, whatever it is. And I just said, you know what? I have to take a deep breath outside every day. Have to. And that just that's been a part of like my adventure and daily practice with doing that inner work. And just gosh, when you take a good intentional breath of air and it feels clean and it feels, just it feels good. That makes me want to, protect the environment too.
It does, because you want to maintain that, right? We don't want to lose that.
Right. Yeah.
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 So Karen, as an environmentalist, and Earth Day coming up, and as this podcast releases, it will, Earth Day will be upon us.
Yeah.
What are you specifically doing for Earth Day?
I am doing a few talks on green products because these are things that I love. So I want to share that with people. A lot of times, like some green products came out early and some weren't that great. For example, like there's laundry detergent that is more sustainable. It's better for the environment. It breaks down better. It doesn't have microplastics in it. It's the packaging's better, all these kind of things. When some of the first green laundry detergents came out, of course, I jumped on the bandwagon right away, but they took out a lot of the fragrance. Now, fragrance is a chemical. I know that as a scientist, but guess what? Like I said, I'm an imperfect advocate. I like my clothes to smell good, I want it to smell like, they've been washed. So I was like, okay, this stuff isn't good. But now there's some great products out there that you still get that great smell, a little less chemically. So like those are the types of things that I want to share with people to help people make the change and and find things that they love so that it gets whole. Like, so here I am just sharing cool things. I'm not telling people to, you got to make these changes, but I'm just encouraging, let's try to make some of these changes. So I'm really excited to get out there and, just to share green products that I love. So that's my concentration this Earth Day.
Yeah. Can you give us a couple of your favorite green products?
Yeah, I love, there's something called a moisture stone by Kate McLeod, and I'll make sure you get all the links for the show notes.
Awesome.
But instead of like moisturizer coming in a plastic bottle with the pump and all that, it's a stone, and you rub it in your hands, and the moisturizer, it's cocoa butter, and it just gives you moisture, gives you the solution to rub on your body. But it comes in a little burlap piece of cloth and a paper box, so there's nothing left after you use this product. You can recycle the cardboard, you can even compost the material that it's wrapped in. So it's amazing. That's one of my favorites. My other favorite is for wrapping paper. There's a company called Global Wrap Share, and I have a feeling we might be hearing some more about that on the podcast
We
soon.
might hear, yes.
But that's all, like it's a sustainable wrapping paper company where the coolest thing about it, I think, is the coolest thing, besides it being reusable, is inside you get a piece of cloth there, and they're beautiful pieces of cloth They're from all around the world. Inside, there's a almost like an old school library card. So you put in there, the date, who the gift went to, and that you were the gifter, and then you can see all the times that it's been reused
Oh,
and
super cool.
regifted.
Yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So things like that, I just love, and like that, you can just talk about the coolness of that product without even talking about the environmental benefit.
Yeah, I love that. And so, Karen, I want to know your approach. Like, sometimes there are products that people might find, I don't know if controversial is the right word, but from a standpoint of like environmentalism, like maybe they're packaged in such a way where it's like, appears to be environmentally friendly, but you have the skeptics that think it's just marketing, right? Like, how do you deal with the controversy around, is a product really good for the environment or not? Like,
Yeah. I mean, there's a whole group, many nonprofits, non-government agencies, NGOs, they call them, that are looking at that particular thing, which is called greenwashing. So greenwashing is a company will make claims, and they really, the claims really aren't anything. It happens all the time, and, what I would say is, like, find, there are some groups that are out there that are just doing it for good consumer information and not from a political standpoint, so, their agenda isn't to blame and shame, their agenda just is saying, "Hey, we're gonna call out things that aren't really green." And, those organizations, some of them, there's even local organizations that people can look for that will help you, if you're not in the weeds like I am, to make some of those decisions for yourself and feel good that you're making a good decision, you're promoting and putting your money behind a good product.
yeah. And I gotta believe that, we're all human. We're we're capable of errors and mistakes, right?
Sure.
There's gonna be
Mhm.
products that we're gonna latch onto that we think are good for the environment and then find out later that it's like, wait, like, is there a shaming like around that we can kind of move past?
I just think when I hope, this is what I hope that when you know better, you do better. That's it. And I believe that people want to come from that place. So there could be some mistakes that companies have made. We thought there was, many types of chemicals. I mean, just how we used to treat a lot of chemicals, like back in the 70s and the 80s, flammable materials. So things that, can catch on fire, right? But what happens, you put them, you expose them to air and they just evaporate. So back in the day, there used to be all these lagoons for these types of chemicals. And they used to think, "Oh, good, it went away." And that's when we had the hole in the ozone layer,
Yeah.
because we just said, "Oh, it went away."
Yeah.
But guess what? We know better, so we do better, and the hole in the ozone layer is pretty much fixed. Now we don't talk about that.
Karen,
Same
you
thing, you talk
you
about eagles. I gotta tell you once,
yeah,
eagles,
come on.
right? DDT. We knew that chemical, that it was a pesticide, right? That chemical was killing eagles. So their eggshells could not harden because the mama eagle had DDT in her system. So the poor thing would sit on her eggs and they would just, they would collapse. We knew that and we fixed that. And now eagles, like, I mean, I saw an eagle in New Jersey a
Yeah.
few years ago, and I just was like, I stopped. I really almost got in an accident.
They're beautiful. We have them here in Charlotte too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But and that was a huge, huge example of we knew better, so we did better.
Yeah, you were full of nuggets today. I'm gonna just recap a couple of my favorites from today. I don't usually summarize, but that one's great. When you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
That was a great one. And then I heard you say, clean yourself up first. And of course, love is a renewable energy.
Mhm.
And we got that one from the hippies, right? The hippies had it right. I
They
love that
sure
so
did.
much. So, Karen, what is your recommendation for the best ways that people can get involved to help protect the earth, not just on Earth Day, but always?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, the people that are listening to this podcast, you go outside, you camp, take somebody with you, take them, just even demonstrating, packing in and packing out, leaving nothing behind. That is a mindset that you can bring to your day, but experiencing that camping, I think that would make a big impact. So find somebody that's never gone camping and take them with you. Take them on a hike if that's too scary for them. Show them your favorite tree. Show them, your favorite river, your favorite ocean. Show them pictures of the last adventure that you just went on, because that's going to inspire them to do that. This is what Inspire Campfire is all about. We're inspiring people to take that. And so, like, it's important for the planet to bring people along on the journey. And that's, I think that's something we can all do, and especially our young ones. Find a kid that's never gone on a hike and just, take them out there and show them what it's all about.
Ah, I love it. Karen, I'm so thankful for people like you that care so much, that are doing the work to collect the data and to be able to give the talks, to share with people the facts, right? And to be so real about it. So there's no need to shame. That's what I
No,
heard today. There is no need to
no.
shame. It doesn't work. And so, Karen, at some point, with all of that you've done for the protection of this planet, Hollywood is going to find out about your story and they're going to want to make a movie about your life. And when they do, I want to know who the Hollywood actress is going to be that's going to play you in your movie.
Okay, so you may not know this about me, Scott, but I starred in well, I didn't star, but I was in the International Thespian Society in high school.
Nice.
So, I would say that perhaps I should play myself.
Okay. I love it.
But if I had to pick, like, someone who is a paid actress or a paid performer, I'm going to select, Ben de la Creme.
Ben de la Creme.
Yeah, so Ben de la Creme is a drag queen, and I just feel like that is my persona would be probably best displayed by a drag
I
queen.
love it. Okay. I got it. It's on now. So I want to know what the movie's going to be called.
I think it should be called The Imperfect Advocate.
Ooh, The
Yeah,
Imperfect Advocate, starring Karen Auld, or maybe Ben de la Creme.
yeah. Maybe we'll split it up,
Okay.
Ben could do, like, the first part of my life, and I'll do the.
Okay. All right. Well, it worked in The Crown. They split the actors and actresses up in that movie, so it can work
Yeah,
for your movie too.
okay,
I,
good.
I love this. So, Karen, if people want to find out more, they want to get in touch with you. What's the best way for them to do that?
The best way I'd say jump on my website. It's just karenauld.com, and you'll find all my socials and all the links and all that fun stuff there.
Great. And we'll make sure to include all of that in the show notes as well. Karen, thank you so much for spending the time with us today. This has been super fun, as conversations with you always are. And for those listening, I hope you've been inspired today as much as I have. I hope that Karen's story has encouraged you to listen to the voice inside that calls you to adventure, because we want to hear your story next. If you have a story to tell or you need a nudge to create one, please send me an email. We'd also appreciate it if you'd help us spread the word by leaving a review and sharing or tagging Inspire Campfire in your social media. And until next time, I want to encourage you to get outside. Thanks for listening. Karen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Scott.